When a moderator of a group gets away from the group and sets up a new group, how long will the old group remain? You used to think that no one invited you to join the old group, and you have no social status. Now, even the moderator is beginning to get rid of the group and set up a new group. Do you still regret that you are not in the old group? Are you still in the nostalgic? You know which one group I am talking about. In 1942, when the World War II was raging, the U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt formed a group, tentatively known as the United Nations, which drew 26 friends together. World War II ended in 1945, and 5 years later, in 1950, the United States expanded its group to 50 friends, formalizing the United Nations. The United Nations group, at that time, reflected the post-war international food chain, with its owners and 4 major allies serving as permanent members of the one-vote veto. With the change of power pattern on Earth, the membership is more and more, members form gangs or alliances among them, sometimes like contests, sometimes like parties. The interaction between quantitative change and qualitative change in the United Nations group has deteriorated. It has departed from the principle of regional autonomy and sovereignty which has been carried out in the West for 300 years since the Siberian Agreement of 1638. Today, the President Roosevelt would not recognize it if he was live again. If the United Nations still has any substance, there would not be a succession of organizations independent of it. From WTO to IMF to OPEC to the Earth Climate Organization to the Shanghai Cooperation Council. This phenomenon reflects the fact that the concept of United Nations membership card is illusory. Owning this identity card does not really protect you. It is often useless to take out this ID card when things happen. Does it work for Iraq, Syria and Ukraine to take out this ID cards to call on their friends of the group? The so-called permanent members, which one of the 5 did act according to the group rules? The founder, USA, the current moderator is Donald Trump, often frightens the Earth people. On September 26, 2018, he announced to all his friends at the United Nations General Assembly that the United States will never again hand over its sovereignty. What it can decide to such a global bureaucracy, the UN, that is not elected and does not have to bear ultimate responsibility. This is equivalent to the moderator has been prepared to withdraw from the group psychologically. For the WTO, which is the alike United Nations, Trump has long indicated that the United States will not trade negotiations under the framework of the globalism name of the multilateral trade. And in action he has proved that he can do it. He has dismantled the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement of former President Obama and withdrawn the North American Free Trade Agreement, with Canada, Mexico, and Japan each signed the bilateral trade agreement. The European Union also intends to cooperate. South Korea and Taiwan will soon be arranged into the new track. How long will it take for the patterns that have occurred economically to extend to the political field? From what is happening, it can only be said that if the United States withdraws from the United Nations one day in the next 2 years, we should not be too surprised. This year, people under 73 years old have lived in the United Nations world since their birth. It is conceptually difficult to accept a world without the United Nations. In their minds and subconsciousness, it is believed that unless the World War breaks out again, the current United Nations cannot disappear. If you do think so, please note that the WTO, which is expanded by the GATT, 2 years older than the United Nations, is known as the Economic United Nations. Now, it is by name only and near to dead. So did the Earth stop trading? For a moderator in the past did not protect you in the group, and the moderator itself is planning to quit the group, do you still care about the member card? Does it have any real meaning? Nowadays, all countries in the world, except one country, recognize Taiwan's de facto national sovereignty, except for Taiwan's missing a membership card called the United Nations. The lack of membership card affects your convenience, but does not control your action and soul. In an inherently fragile architecture, without a membership card, what's wrong with being a nation at large? For more details, please search for the word "a nation at large." As long as good quality, diligence to do the market, trademarks and word of mouth are naturally deserved, The old moderator is about to quit the old group, and is actively building new groups around. Taiwan should put its energies into joining new groups. No need for more feeling of nostalgia.